12 years ago, I walked into this auditorium as a freshman. I was coming from a village in Osun State. All I could dream of was to become a pharmacist today, an engineer tomorrow. If I was watching the Super Eagles then, I wanted to be a football referee. It depended on who was asking and when you were asking. In primary school, after school hours, I would get back home to the pile of newspapers in our reading room. I would cut out images of J.J. Okocha, Nwako Kanu, Wilson Oruma, paste them in empty pages of what you call the 60 leaves, 40 leaves exercise book. Can you relate? It was my first magazine design. When I look back now, I sold it for 20 naira. I got to uni. My brother was in uni. I saw him pay people to design his magazines. And when he would review them, I would naturally have opinions. But then I saw him pay. I saw it was a project. And for the first time, I realized there was a career no one told me about. So I never had the ambition to be it, which was to be a designer. Today, FourthCanvas is celebrated for the exploits we've achieved since 2015. FourthCanvas, co-founded by Bolaji Fawale and I. This same company was founded by two boys who met because I was illegally squatting in room 201. We call that Malu Road, right? Good. But then, when I look back, at age 7, in 2001, I picked up an empty bottle of Baileys at home and designed the World Cup trophy for a mini competition I organized for my friends on the streets inside our compound, a tournament my parents couldn't know anything about, but I was designing. When in 2012, I ran for the SUG sporting director, and I made a poster showing me holding a racket. I was distinguishing myself from other candidates who, like everyone, were lovers of football. I was designing. When Dapo Awokwegba, who was the student union leader and a beloved example for all of us, when he died, and we reformed the 100-level football competition and renamed it after him, which became an annual way to celebrate him, I was designing. When BJ and I created the values and the culture for FourthCanvas and developed a lot of models that we had not read about anywhere, all inspired by our desire to support our employees for progress and for maximum results, we were designing. When Tunji Ogunye, partner design at FourthCanvas, and Tunji and I were teaching design across different sessions in Lagos, one of which I met my fiancée. I was designing. When Bolaji Fawale, Nifemi Akinwamide, Segun Oroyo, all who met on this campus, sat down in 2015 and restructured our business, which was VGC Media, and created FourthCanvas with a new mission, with a new system, with a new set of values. We were designing. Today, we're daily developing and redeveloping what is indeed becoming a world-class process of execution, of sales, of onboarding at FourthCanvas. When we're doing that, we are designing. When I was making World Cups out of Bailey's bottles, I didn't know what Adobe was or CorelDRAW. Today, when I do no longer do actual graphic design. I do not sit down on my computer to make anything any longer. I am designing. Design is creation. Design is solving old problems and creating new opportunities. And it's a mindset. And it is this mindset that has evolved to become what consultants have called design thinking, which is now being applied to every form of organization or anywhere in which people are getting things done. You can be a product designer or an industrial designer or an environmental designer or a graphic designer or a brand designer or a business designer. The adjectives give you an idea of the technicality and what you need to get done. But what would determine the greatness at any of this is the fact that you're first a designer. And I've learned in 12 years, sometimes it's difficult for me to tell how long I've been designing because we start to count from. But over the years, I've learned that these five things define or make the designer, who surely applies his skills across the different possible fields. Number one is curiosity. If the humans that lived thousands of years BC said, don't look for what is not lost, we would not be here today. They were constantly curious. And the humans who have shaped the world to become what it is today, designers, have built a lot of their innovations on an unending, a relentless sense of curiosity. Mindfulness. Sometimes it's there, but only a few people can see it. And it's by their ability to pay attention and to observe and to be present. I've seen this to be a key quality for a designer, regardless of where you're applying your designer. That's intentional. Audacity. When I was in JS1, I was in a missionary school owned by the Anglican diocese, the Anglican Communion. The bishop in our diocese doubled as the proprietor, and it was his birthday. So the GS1 me made a cardboard and combined watercolor and some card cords, and I said, "Happy birthday, Bishop." I mentioned his name. And I took it to my business studies teacher, who was the closest I could access. Like, I would like this to be presented to the bishop. He looked at it and said, "What is this?" And he threw it back to me. That could have been the end of this entire journey. But for reasons I don't know what inspired that, I picked it back up and I went to the principal. And I repeated the same process. I made this, and I love this to be presented to the bishop. The principal, Reverend Fatanmi, he looked at it and said, "Oh boy, this is a good attempt. Nice one. I would ensure the bishop sees this." And he added it onto him. And I never knew what happened because I wasn't going to visit the bishop. They were an entourage from the school. 5 years later, I was in SS2. Well, I should be. And we had a reason to visit the bishop. And when I walked into the office, I saw the design I presented 5 years ago hanging in his office. To be honest, 5 years after, when I saw the design, I understood why the first teacher threw it away. It really did not look great. And I did not understand why the bishop saw a reason to hang it in his office. But I was audacious. I always was. And you need audacity. You need the confidence. You need the belief, which sometimes might not make sense, to be a designer, to blaze the trail, to create what is not yet the norm or what is not yet seen. Closely following audacity, well, is humility. And I guess that's important so that you don't take audacity to the wrong limits. There's something I like to say, that whoever you are, you're one out of 7 to 8 billion humans. So when you think about 1/2 as half, 1/4 as a quarter, we understand that as you go ahead to 1/8 and 1/10, the value diminishes, right? Have you ever thought about 1/7, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0? What keeps me grounded is that consistent consciousness that we're only one out of billions of humans. And it means that no matter what I know at any point in time, I am conscious that there is so much more that I do not know. And I will never be able to fill that gap. I will never know enough. All I can control is to continue to seek new knowledge and add to what I know. Lastly, is ambition. Designers connect to the desire to make the world a better place. They are excited about the possibility of what they are working on becoming the next big thing. They're excited to see how they can bring design to make the next great things. About FourthCanvas, we say that we're partnering with good businesses to build great brands. That's the sense of ambition that goes through the mind of any designer. Back to my boarding house. My principal, now a different principal, not the first one, who had a great impact. There's something he would say. He would say, you can either go through school or the school goes through you. It's amazing if you can do both. I didn't. Because if you check the records at the Senate, you wouldn't find my name on the convocation list. But school went through me. On this campus, I met the people and had the experiences that shaped who I am today or who I am becoming. When I'm talking to you about that designer, which I am to an extent, which we all are to some extent, this school went through me and helped to shape that sense of thinking, that mindset. Last year, we did 100 million naira in deals at FourthCanvas. And to think that at some point on this campus, we shared the photocopier's shop at SUB to the right. When you enter, I don't know what happens there right now. Back then, I watched 3 Idiots. That's the name of the movie. Maybe I shouldn't have. But it taught me that excellence is its own certificate. Please get your certificate, please. But more importantly, get education. Get enlightenment. Relentlessly seek to enlighten yourself. Relentlessly seek to make the world a better place. Consistently reimagine things. Ask questions. You may one day figure out which field you want to apply your designer. You may already have. You may be considering to switch from a product designer or to a graphic designer, or maybe you are applying your designer in a business or in an event or in an organization. But it is these values, more importantly than the technicality of the field you have chosen, that would determine how great you get in the results you're able to achieve. These values of a designer, regardless of where they're applying their solutions, may make the difference between whether you are good or you are great. Thank you.